While en route home, Gracia and I stopped at a quaint little curio store. My mother loves curios, and I figured the best way to come home is to come home with something neat for my parents. If nothing else, it will definitely lessen the blow that I'm about to drop on them. We were only 30 minutes or so out of Madonsket, so it wasn't a bad time to stop. Especially given that it was already after 7, and my mother's favorite soap opera doesn't get over until 8. I always try to avoid my house when, as the young get far more restless with every turn of the world is on, mainly because I don't like that show enough to sit down and watch it. At least I keep a nice backlog of, hey, look at all those people on that island. My favorite reality show on my DVR. What can you give it up for? I asked the shop manager. Well, it might not have been the manager per se, but he worked there, so good enough. I had found the most intriguing curio, a porcelain duck, that had to be a model to size. My parents both enjoy the outdoors, and ducks are pretty neat, so I figured it would work out.
Alright. Let's do this thing. Smell your duck from this guy.
How's $6.50 sound? $650? Nah, $6.50. Oh, when you put it that way, so... I handed the man my money. My parents are awesome and all, but I don't have $650 to blow on a clay duck that could make for very easy duck hunting target practice. It'd be like an early Christmas gift, because it's that time of the year, and I haven't done my shopping yet despite going to the mall the other day. Sure, I found all the best gifts for my friends at Washig, but I didn't focus on my parents. I mean, I still have another 2 weeks until I need a gift. Might as well get one now. That's nice, Gracia remarked as she saw me walk out with my duck. Thanks, they'll love it. I hope. We got in the car and I started to take the back roads to Madonsket, and, well, I don't really know my way around them that well, so we got lost. Fortunately, we didn't drive past the Madonsket sign until 8:15. Lucky me! We avoided another episode of that soap opera with the ridiculously long name that I don't really want to talk about. We will be back at my house in about 20 minutes. Long enough time for my dad to slam down a beer and be happy. Oh, fuck's sake! For the evening, and my mother doesn't drink, but she'll be knitting. Probably something for my younger brother, since she always seems to knit awesome stuff for him, and not for myself! Or maybe it'll be another tablecloth, like we don't already have 8,000 of those things lying around the house.
8,000? Come on, that can't be right!
It's not really that many, I'm exaggerating, of course, but it's definitely a lot more tablecloths than a family of 4 with one table that gets used on a semi-regular basis needs. I pulled into the driveway, and thankfully the cat was nowhere in sight, since Gracia's allergic and they didn't have time to prep for my visit. Hopefully it'll show up and I can punt it away for a while! Nah, I won't actually punt it. Probably just put it in the shed in the backyard, since it likes to go there when it's in heat anyway. It's a Maine Coon! I wouldn't punt one anyway, since they're awesome! Gracia's from Mass, so she doesn't understand any of it. Damn pride! Here goes nothing. This one's for the best. 10! $8:45. It's not too late. They're not asleep yet, I said as we got out of the car, and I saw the cat. It ran into the shed as the car pulled up, so Gracia won't have to worry as we get into the house. Thank goodness. That's not something I want you to deal with this evening. It took us long enough to get here. Well, honey, I had a lot of traffic to go through. Traffic? A curio shop, 3 trips to somewhere, another to the J-Mart, and 1 to Fuzz's? Is not traffic. I needed stuff. You're stalling. Okay, yes, I'm stalling. If I could tell my parents, you can tell yours. If only it were that easy. How is it not easy? It's just hard for me. I don't know what they'll think. I know how you feel, but you have to say something.
The cards are on your table.
I want to, I really do, but I don't know how. Well, you won't come up with anything standing out here. I guess you're right on that one. We walked in the door after the mini argument, and my parents were sitting in the living room watching television. I rushed over to greet my parents, gave my mother a hug, and showed her the dock.
Wasn't that just nice?
My mother said.
Let's hang it up here. If it hangs.
I don't think it does, my father piped in.
You're no fun.
And that dock weighs close to 5 pounds. It won't hang. My father had an amazing eye for shit like that. I knew the thing was heavy, and he's probably right.
Then you'll find a place for it.
Guys, stop arguing over the dock, I said. Mr. Buckley, Mrs. Buckley, how are you doing this evening? Glacia said to lighten the mood. My parents were prone to randomly argue about stupid little stuff all the time. She was used to it, but it was still awkward. At least for me anyway.
Oh, just fine, Glacia. How about you?
My mother responded. Not too badly, just spent today on the road slack. He stopped at like 6 different stores because he was stalling. What are you doing? I whispered quietly in her ear.
Stalling for what?
My mother asked me. Well... Go on, tell them. Glacia inserted. She was being really helpful at this moment in time. I already didn't know what to say, now she blurts putting it all on me. If I may add something, Glacia said as she showed out her ring.
That's pretty,
my mother said. Thanks. Slack gave me the gave that to me yesterday.
He did? What for?
Well, you see... I started again, and now both my parents and Glacia's eyes were locked on me. I was the deer in the headlights, standing there, waiting to get nailed by the car screaming down the road going 60 or 35! I asked Glacia to marry me. My father stood up, put his boots on, walked out of the house, and started his truck. Where is he going? I puzzled, looking at the truck speed off down the road, getting to the point where only the lonely brake lights flickered in the darkness. My mother was absolutely speechless. I suppose I would be too, having heard news like that. She sat there on the couch as Glacia and I slipped off to our room. Well, really my room, but she slept there whenever she was here, so technically our room. I heard words coming from the living room, and my mother was on the phone. I don't know who she called or what they're talking about, but it had to have been important. See, that wasn't so hard, Glacia said, breaking the awkward silence. It wasn't so hard. My mother's in a frenzy from the shock of it all. My father is who the fuck knows where because he's an idiot. How the fuck could you say that wasn't hard? Didn't help that you had to lead me into it. Couldn't have just waited until I was ready? I started to overheat! If we had waited for that, we'd be sending their invites before they knew about it. She was probably right. I was angry enough to be defensive, but not angry enough to lunge on the bed, grab my girl, and start vigorously making out with her. Huh? She wasn't really against it either, since we sort of jumped at each other as it happened. It ended pretty fast, too. Well, we ought to argue more often then, shouldn't we? I joked. We both let out a chuckle, shut the light off, and left the room. My mother still on the phone. I grabbed some food, and we sat down at the table to eat.